Hi, I'm Rich Marinucci, the Fire Chief with the Northville Township, Michigan Fire Department. I'm here today to talk to some experts about some techniques that can be used to retrofit existing fire apparatus to improve the rear markings and visibility for firefighters working on the highways. Currently, there are no standards that apply to existing fire apparatus with respect to rear markings for increased visibility. However, NFPA 1901, the standard for automotive fire apparatus, does require markings on new apparatus. We can use the guidelines that are presented in this standard to help us improve the visibility on existing apparatus and improve the safety of our firefighters when working on the highway. In the interest of firefighter safety, it makes sense to retrofit your existing apparatus to meet the requirements of 1901. You'll be surprised to find how inexpensive it is to retrofit your apparatus and improve the rear markings. This small investment that you make will greatly improve the safety of firefighters and other responders while they're working on the highway. We have identified some techniques to add retroreflective striping to the rear of existing fire apparatus. We're going to show you those in a minute. But first, let's take a look at some of the basic concepts of clear, highly visible rear markings and how they can make a difference.
Three basic high visibility design principles have emerged to guide marking of emergency vehicles. We can see those simple principles demonstrated on police cruisers. 1. Retroreflective striping and lettering reflects light from the headlights of approaching vehicles back to the driver's eyes, thereby improving the visibility of the emergency vehicle. 2. Chevrons have been shown to increase the visibility of vehicles at a greater distance and decrease the chance of a rear-end accident. The NFPA 1901 standard for new fire apparatus requires a minimum 50% rear coverage with chevron pattern striping, 6 inches wide, sloping downward at a 45-degree angle from the center line of the vehicle. Large, bold lettering rather than complicated logos or small type is more effective for rear visibility and identification.
Now that we understand how fairly simple changes can have a dramatic positive impact on rear visibility, let's turn our attention to techniques specifically for fire apparatus. With me is Jay Feinberg of firehouse1.com. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you, Rich.
Jay has developed diamonds. He's going to talk to us about adding retroreflective striping to the rear of fire apparatus. Jay, what kind of materials are available to meet today's standard?
There are a wide variety of materials available from a number of manufacturers that will both work on the smooth surface and diamond plate. The important thing to remember is that the colors that are approved by the NFPA include red, fluorescent lime, fluorescent yellow, and yellow. In the cases where there isn't sufficient amount of smooth surface that can have reflective striping put on it, where we're using 6-inch goods to satisfy that requirement, we need to have another piece of technology which is called diamonds, whereby we apply the same material in the shape of a diamond to satisfy the requirement. And in this particular case, with our install process, we're able to take these diamonds and carefully lay them into the surface area of the diamond plate, thereby achieving what we're looking to do in terms of reflective striping. Once it's applied, then we can go ahead and remove the transfer film, and we see how easily we can put these diamonds right into the surface and then repeat that every 6 rows.
Jay, tell me where the fire departments get this done. Do they do it in-house or do they send it to a factory?
They can go both ways, Rich. They can either do it in-house with materials that we can supply to them, or they can get from their local apparatus equipment supplier, or they can choose to go to an apparatus service center and have the same materials applied to them. A lot of it depends on the availability of manpower to take care of the project.
These are tough economic times. How cost effective is this? Are departments going to be able to afford this?
Well, it's hard to put a price on firefighter safety, but in this particular case, it represents a relatively small investment for that enhanced safety. Obviously, it's less expensive if we supply you with the materials and you use your own labor to apply them, and of course it becomes slightly more expensive if you have to send the apparatus out to do it. It's hard to put a real number on what it costs to do it because a lot depends on which material you choose and how much surface area has to be covered.
Well, thanks, Jay, for some very good information, very innovative and a good way for fire departments to meet the standard.
Thank you, Rich. It was a pleasure being with you.
I'm with Dave Wayand of DNS Custom Covers. Dave, thanks for taking time to be with us today. You do a lot of work with covers and for the fire trucks. This is a plain cover. Can you tell me about this, what it's made of, how it's fastened, etc.?
Sure. This is a rear flap of a truck. This particular flap is made of either Herculite or Hypalon type of material. It is hemmed around the perimeter of it, usually a 2-inch hem, fastened permanently at the top. At the rear it's weighted so it does not move. This basic cover, you gain no visibility at the back or very limited. Whenever you come upon this truck at the scene or in its travels, you're not gaining any value from looking at the rear of the truck and could easily be missed.
Well, let's go look at a truck right now that has reflective material on the cover and see how much it improves the visibility. Now we're going to look at a hose bed cover that makes a difference, that really enhances the rear of the apparatus and makes it more visible. Dave, can you tell us what's the difference between this and a typical hose bed cover?
Okay. This hose bed cover here is utilizing reflective material on the tail flap. It's a high quality material. It's manufactured by Reflexite Reflective. And we've incorporated that into the tail flap. The flap here has the reflective material sewn onto the tarp, and then there's an additional piece of material put behind to protect the rear of it for a long-lasting cover.
Well, how much does it enhance it? I mean, can you tell me how much does it improve visibility from the rear?
Well, I think it improves it significantly. I would say at least 30 to 40% improvement. When you do a nighttime visibility on it, like with a camera flash, it brightens up the back of the truck significantly.
So it vary on the type of apparatus. That's why it's custom.
Right.
Everyone's a little bit different.
Right. Yeah. Every hose bed is one's deeper. You'd have more visibility. One's more shallow, not quite as much. But even so, it still adds to the visibility of the back of the truck.
Well, Dave, I thank you for your interest in firefighter safety. I think you've done a great job and just another tool for us to help us do our job better out in the field.
Thank you.
Now I've got Dan Bowers with me. Hi, Dan. How you doing? Dan's the Vice President of Emergency Vehicle Specialists in Hagerstown, Maryland. They do a lot of work on fire trucks. They fix them, they repair them, they maintain them. While they got them in the shop, they work on the rear markings too. So we're going to ask Dan to give us a few pointers and the types of things that he's done.
Well, Rich, you can see with this unit right here, it does have Scotch-Lite striping on it, but it has no chevron striping on it. So it dramatically cuts down the visibility out there on the road. Now, this unit over here, this unit's been in service approximately a year. As you can see, this one is laid out kind of aesthetically different than this unit over here. When we go to lay out these units here, you were asking earlier what we go through to how we lay it out aesthetically. Rich, we started at a center line, center of the truck. That has to be established and carry straight on down the door. And we do that so we can start off with our red line. That's our kind of our signature. We always start out with a red point, so we have a complete red chevron stripe ending at the highest point of the full stripe. This door is, after we lay out our striping, this door is taken off the truck. It is laid down, and you have to cut every one of these stripes, because your reds and your yellow, when it's applied to the door, is a full stripe on a roll-up door. So we have to cut through every one of these slats. First we have to make our initial cut, and we do a 45 cut one way, a 45 cut the opposite way. So that gives the door the ability to roll up again after we put our stickers on.
So that's one of your challenges in the roll-up door. You got the roll-up door. It's not just a flat surface. You just put some striping on. There's a lot of
There's a lot of time and effort that is involved in putting chevron striping on it.
So it's an art form. This is something you kind of learned as you went, or is it in the standard that, or there's a class you go to? It's just you've come up with your own style.
Well, actually, sometimes it's trial and error, but we always strive to do the best we possibly can, and again to make it aesthetically pleasing for the fire department. When you're going back and retrofitting a previously existing truck instead of a new truck, you have to go to extra means to make sure that the job is done properly. You know, all the hardware has to come off the back of the truck. We do not cut around anything. So after we get all of our striping started, we finish our striping up. Everything is seam sealed to keep your your seams and everything from raising back up. And it adds the durability to the washings that they get, because they like to keep their apparatus clean.
Now, we know that firefighters are really picky, so your attention to detail is going to make it more agreeable to the fire department, and they're going to be more willing to have these put on if it's done right and if it looks good. And clearly the job that you're doing looks good. Now, what happens, though, it's not just the back of the trucks that's facing traffic. Do you have anything special you do to the trucks to deal with some of the other challenges?
We did come up with something very special to kind of set us apart. We'll take this line here, for instance. As this line comes down across extrusion, if you just can use an imaginary line right here. What we do, we take and shoot a laser up the side of the truck, and you're probably wondering why we would shoot a laser up the side of the truck. And I'll show you, for one, the first thing that comes open into the line of traffic is a door. And I'll show you the door comes open. If you were coming down the street, firefighters exiting the vehicle, this is what you're going to see first before you see the firefighter come out of the truck. And the lines at the back of the truck perfectly align with the lines on the door.
So we know that no matter what we do, any little added feature that you put on here is going to enhance the safety of the firefighters.
It's all about safety of the firefighters.
So even sometimes you've carried this a step further than even what the standard calls for.
Right. This protects you from the rear, but before you can get on the scene to help anyone, you have to exit the truck, and that gives you the added safety of exiting the truck.
Okay. Well, what about this vehicle? What's different about this one?
This vehicle is a little bit different. Again, everything's taken off the back of the truck, all the grab rails, hose reel rollers. And again, it has another roll-up door, and our process is the same as that, the squad over there. This has another little added feature. When you open up this door, there again, your truck actually visually looks wider than what it presently was when it came to the park position. And also, as the firefighters are walking up along the side of the truck, it gives them an added safety area with the chevron striping on the side there. So it's just an added feature that we like to do. There again, if the fire department wants us to do that, we're happy to do that. But it's just another one of those little added features.
Well, it's a good attention to detail on your part and something that's important to the firefighters. Something else that's important is identification of the vehicles. What do you do about the naming of the truck or the name of the community? Can you put them right over the top of the striping?
Yes. This unit here came to us. Of course, most all units are identified from the rear. This came with the 26 engine. Once the chevron striping was applied, the truck number and identification can be laid right over top of the chevron striping. And Rich, I would like to point out this is only 4-inch striping compared to the 6-inch striping on the squad.
But even though it's 4-inch, you're still using the same principles, and this is a department that went slightly ahead of their time and put it on before the standard was complete.
Right, that's why this is 4-inch right now. But it's still all about the safety.
Okay. Well, how about an ambulance? Let's take a look at an ambulance and see what the differences are. Technically, ambulances aren't covered by 1901. Any differences, or how do you protect the firefighters that are on this, even though the standard isn't really applying to ambulances? We still have the same problem of identifying a vehicle in the roadway.
Well, Rich, it's still all about safety out on the highways. Ambulances are a little bit different than the fire apparatus out there, but it's all about safety. This particular ambulance, of course, we start with taking everything off the back of the ambulance to give us a clean slate, per se. We have achieved a great deal of striping on the back of this ambulance. The fire company went into something a little bit different, since they did achieve the striping and the safety effect that they were after, and it's just a little bit different. It's again aesthetically pleasing. We go to extra measures with these doors here. This is a high traffic area, and we put poly stainless steel down each side of the door to protect the door and also the striping.
Now, and an ambulance has much more exposed space, so getting to your 50% is a little bit easier. It gives you more options.
Absolutely, absolutely. You can do a lot with the back of an ambulance as far as firefighter safety, personnel safety. it just gives it a very good visual effect. We've had comments from customers, and they say they can see these trucks a mile away before they even know what's there.
Well, you can certainly see the dramatic change between an unmarked vehicle and one that's done properly to meet the standard.
That's what it's all about, visibility.
We've been able to show you some examples of how you can improve the rear markings on your fire apparatus. You can clearly see what a dramatic difference it makes, how it lights up the scene, and how it's going to provide added safety to the firefighters working on the highways. This little bit of safety is going to make sure that all of our firefighters have the best opportunity to return home at the end of the shift. I thank you very much for your attention and wish you the best, and please remain safe in your operations.